Blessings, everybody. Welcome to the Temples of Atlantis YouTube page. It has been an extremely long time since I've been on here and put something fresh. So thank you to everyone for your patience, for your grace. Thank you for those of you that have found me, even though there hasn't been new content. And this is going to really spur me into getting more involved on YouTube, which I've wanted to do for the last 2 years. In fact, I really, really want to create an Atlantean podcast that discusses all things Atlantean. But today, I really want to talk about the path that led me from Reiki to Atlantis. So if you're unfamiliar with me, I founded the Temples of Atlantis back in 2022. And it's been an incredible ride. I'm most active on Instagram at the Temples of Atlantis, but also the Atlantean Priestess. But I'm looking to expand these temples, to reach more people, to help more people understand their ancient souls. So if you don't know me, I can talk forever about things I'm passionate about. So I don't want to get too sidetracked. And I just want to give you the backstory of really how Cosmic Conscious Reiki came to be and all the ways Spirit weaved these incredible things for me. So back in 2013, I was the co-owner of a very successful dance studio, a competitive dance studio. I was the mother to 2 young daughters. At that time, I had also had 2 pregnancy losses and a very devastating experience being pregnant with my daughter Talia, which is going to come back around. But in May of 2013, I was beyond exhausted. By that time, I had been working 60 to 80 hours a week, running the studio for about 4 years. We had just finished competition season. We were getting ready for a recital. And for those of you that know, putting on an annual recital, at least in the way that we did, is like planning a wedding each and every year. There's so much that goes into it. And so I was just beyond stressed. And I have a wonderful older sister who suggested that I see a Reiki practitioner. Now, I didn't know what a Reiki practitioner was. And I was just like, okay, some healing. Yeah, I could use some healing. So I remember she agreed to watch my children for about the hour and a half that I'd be at the Reiki practitioner. And what I know going into that session was that I felt like I might go crazy. There was so much pressure in my head that I felt like my skull was starting to fracture and break into 2. And I had the thought is that I don't know how people go crazy, but I must be close, because I was just beyond anything I could ever experience. I was in financial stress. I didn't have, everybody knows when you're new parents to newborns, you have no time for yourself, which is understandable, but it was years upon years of it. I devoted myself to my students, to being a mother when I could. It was a very difficult time in my life, even though it was very rewarding. I would never go back to it, let's just say. So I got on the bed, and this wonderful Reiki master practitioner put her hands on my head. And the first thing she said was that, Priscilla, you need to breathe. And I was like, what? She's like, you're not breathing properly. What? And then I realized for weeks upon weeks, I was breathing very shallow like this. And the first time I took a deep breath, I just started crying because I realized I didn't even know how I was living or how I was surviving. So that was the first thing. The second thing, she says, I'm very confused. And I go, why? She goes, because the one side of your brain, and I thought she was talking about the right side of the brain. She's like, is extremely clustered. She's like, it's 1,000 thoughts, 1,000 sentences, 1,000 emails, 1,000 things you have to do. She's like, it's so much information. She's like, what is that? I go, that's my dance studio. She's like, it's not good for you. And I was just thinking, I'm like, what? And then the other side, she said, was pure light. And I go, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're here to be a healer. And I just kind of was like, what? And, you know, she went on to do some wonderful things in my body. She actually brought up my daughter Talia, whom I lost at 16 weeks pregnant, who was sitting on my shoulder. So that was a real beautiful confirmation for me that this woman was tapped into something that I wasn't. And then she mentioned a past life in Egypt, and she just had me intrigued. Okay, so when I thought about like her saying you're supposed to be a healer, I was like, there's no way. I love teaching dance. I've been a dance teacher since I was 18. I've been a dancer since I was 5. I've traveled the world. I've trained. I have all these wonderful students. I thought I would be a dance teacher into my 60s, maybe even to my 80s. This is how committed I was. And yet she planted the seed. Okay, so very quickly now, within about 2 weeks, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And that just lit this spark in me. Like, we started using the same Reiki practitioner to bring her healing. And I just started thinking over and over again, I'm supposed to be a healer, you know? And so my mother-in-law's battle with cancer lasted about 1.5 years. And about a year after her diagnosis, I decided to take Usui Reiki level 1. And even though at that time I wasn't very intuitive or tapped into my spirit, I didn't really understand a fraction of the things I do now, there was something that felt right about it. And so for that first year, all I did was share Reiki with my husband, who was suffering greatly with the sickness of his mother, and then my mother-in-law. Now, she ended up passing in September of 2014. And the time we spent together and me sharing Reiki with her was a special time. I think I helped her manage some of the pain. Obviously, I didn't save her, no matter how hard I wanted to. And it gave us this connection. And one of the things I had mentioned to her was that when she passed, I would be able to hear her, because at that time I was working on my mediumship skills. What Reiki really opened for me was this openness to explore. And so I started reading books on past lives. I started learning about the Archangels and the different qualities that they had. I started learning about ascended masters and mediumship, and all these things were stirring. So really what happened was that Reiki session sparked my spiritual awakening. Okay, so my mother-in-law passes. I continue to work on my husband. In 2015, that summer, I get my Usui Reiki level 2, and I'm feeling more called to help. So I start to share healings with my students that have suffered from injuries, with some of their parents who trust me, some of them that are going through their own cancer journeys. And there was just this peace that I felt whenever I put my hands in someone's field. It felt so beautiful. And the stress of the studio, the emails, trying to make everybody happy and not spending enough time with my kids, and this financial strain I was under, it would just melt away for that 30 or 60 minute session that I was serving someone else. So it felt really good. I started awakening even more to past life things. And in 2016, in honor of my parents' 45th anniversary, we traveled to the UK and Ireland, and we did I can't remember, I'd say about a 15 to 17 day trip. Now, during that time, I was getting a lot of memories surging from the land. I was getting a lot of downloads, now that I would call them. And I was just feeling this peace and this excitement of discovering something new about my soul, which I really had always thought I was an old soul, but now I was starting to understand how ancient it was. A key moment came when I was in Bath, England, when I saw a statue head of Minerva, who's also known as Athena. Athena's been my goddess since I was 11. I've always really been enraptured by her. And so she just told me, you're going to go back to Greece, and when you do, you can't say no. It's going to be a very important time in your life. And I said, okay. As I was flying back home into Canada, I started to feel this dread of the weight of another season of the demand on my body, on my mind, on my creativity, on everything. I so treasured the time with my children. And now, the majority of my week was going to be devoted to running the business and choreographing and all the things that happen with a competitive dance life. And somewhere in that season, this switch came, and I heard that I was supposed to study about Atlantis. So I dismissed it because I really thought Atlantis was just silly. It's just a lost city. Who cares about it? It's not even real. But no, that was far from the truth. So the biggest message that came through from Athena again in January of 2017 was that this is your year. You are going to return to Greece. You're going to study Atlantis, and you're going to understand why you love Greece and Egypt so much. So I won't get into all the details, but I ended up selling my studio within 3 to 4 months of that message. I was in Greece by August of that year, and I went on a sacred pilgrimage that was sacred to me. It wasn't any kind of retreat that anyone organized. I just went on a tour. But there were so many awakenings that came through me, through the Greek gods, who I now would say are the Atla Ra of Atlantis. There was such a homecoming in my heart and in my soul on these Greek lands. And I felt for the first time very free. So I transitioned from that life devoted to dance. I opened Priscilla Lightworker. And Priscilla Lightworker was initially serving people out of my bedroom. I didn't even have a space that was private. It's really basic. And a few people began to trust me. I was doing card readings, and I was just starting to build this business a little bit by a little bit. By the end of 2017, my guides came to me and said, okay, Priscilla, so you have your Usui Reiki level 2. I said, yeah, because I love it, right? I love it. It's so good for me. And they said, what else do you got? Oh, okay, I'll show you. So 2018 and 2019, I call my years of expansion. And I got my Usui Reiki level 3, my master teacher. From there, I went into Karuna Reiki and master teacher. I took crystal healing. I found Atlantean healing, which is a whole nother story because I love that. I got my Atlantean Reiki master teacher, my crystal Reiki master teacher. I took alchemical healing. Am I missing something? Maybe that might be good. But I was just like, boom, 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 boom. Whatever I could study and pay for, I did. And I was on a limited budget at that time, so it was not always very easy. In 2018, I went to Houston, Texas to learn about Atlantean healing. That was profound for me, okay? The first hour I was taking that course, I knew what my purpose was. I knew what I'd be doing the rest of my life, that I would forever be a teacher of Atlantis, and that even more so than all the other modalities that I studied, Atlantean healing was going to be a part of me because it already was. It was radiating from me. I loved it. The interesting thing about it was that my first session I was receiving from a classmate as we were practicing, this is when I learned about the Arcturians. Now, I knew nothing about the Arcturians. I didn't know anything about star seeds or star nations or the Galactic Federation or anything that anybody talks about. I was a complete virgin, okay? So I'm getting a healing. I start to feel like I'm in an episode of Star Trek, the original series. There's all these like lights blinking, and I'm just about like, I'm thinking in my head as I'm getting the healing, am I on a spaceship? I didn't even get to say it, okay? I just was going, am I on a, and then there was these two beings that were sitting in these like captain's chairs or swivel chairs, and they turned around and they looked at me and they said, Priscilla, you know what time it is? And I said, time to read We the Arcturians? And they're like, yes. And they snapped their fingers, and I woke up, and then the practitioner's like, whoa. And I was like, what is going on? And that's all the information I got. I went home after that course. I went home back to Edmonton. I went to my local metaphysical store. I bought 3 books on Arcturus, We the Arcturians, one by David K. Miller, and then another one by Tom Kenyon. Now, I read those books over the summer. What was really interesting to me was that in my Reiki sessions, starting from about when I was a level 2 practitioner, when I would do my call-ins and, call in God and the Archangels and Mother Mary, and I used to say Jesus at that time, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, I would always hear and Sanat Kumara. And I'd be like, okay, and Sanat Kumara. I don't know who this guy is, but yeah, and Sanat Kumara. Always, 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 always he came into my sessions. Now, as I'm reading the book by Tom Kenyon on the Arcturians, he talks about Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Sanat Kumara as Arcturians. This was like a pling, like a huge, moment for me. And I was like, oh, if you know the story of Master Usui and how he got this download of Reiki that would be known as Usui Reiki on top of the mountain in Japan called Mount Kurama, it really paralleled what I thought was the story of Sanat Kumara. I really was like, oh, Sanat Kumara, who's said to be, overseer of this particular galaxy for the last 90 million years, like a protector and a guardian of it, of sacred knowledge, he's the one that reintroduced Reiki to Earth via Master Usui. Like it just made so much sense to me. So I read all this stuff. In September of 2018, I am ready to teach my first level 1 Reiki to others. I love being a teacher. I still do. It's my number one archetype, I'd say, within my body, within my soul. And so I immediately taught from the perspective that the Arcturians were the ones that brought in Reiki back to Earth. Because understand that it was like hidden or lost for a while. Reiki is really Creator's universal love and light. That's what it is. Reiki is also another term for your Holy Spirit. So in effect, we all carry Reiki because we all have a Holy Spirit. We are all natural healers. We just don't remember how to tap into it. We haven't acknowledged it. It hasn't been taught to us again. So he awoke up this, like, what was dormant in the early 1900s. And there's this beautiful lineage that almost all Reiki practitioners in the world today are a part of. Okay, so I'm teaching Usui Reiki. Over the next few years, as I get different certifications, I begin teaching Karuna Reiki, Crystal Reiki, Atlantean Reiki, and I'm doing this for a period of 4 years. Now, in between that time, what's really interesting, once the Arcturians woke up my field, in 2019, on my 40th birthday, I was on a trip in celebration. I was on Vancouver Island. It's a very beautiful place. It would be connected to the Pacific Ocean, for those of you unaware. And I was sharing at that time Egyptian aura clearings. I remember it was Egyptian aura clearings, and I was doing golden Atlantean healings. And I didn't know about Zoom. I don't know if Zoom existed at that time, but I didn't know about it. And so I would share healings distantly, and then I would prep the person before and say, okay, time to lay down. And then we would call after, and I would tell them everything I picked up, and I hear about their experience. So I'm on the beach delivering this one, I thought it was an incredible healing, when in my third eye, I can feel this blue light or this blue star calling for me. And as this hand is, working with my client, this hand shoots up and it starts going around like it's some kind of antennae. And then it gets the frequency, like, whoop. And from there, I feel this incredible blue orb land in my palm. And I receive instructions on how to work with it. Now, the thing is, what was really interesting is also in my third eye, the ocean that I was staring at, I saw this blue crystal pyramid rise out of the ocean, hit me with a beam of light. Okay, so I have a beam of light here. I have an orb of light here. And now I understand that I'm working with the Syrians. Now, again, I don't know too much about the Syrians at that time. I understand a little bit, but very, very minimal. And it's an incredible experience. So much so that I end up integrating it into a ton of my healings, and they bring incredible blessings to all that I serve. Now, in 2020, This time I ask, I'm very curious about the Palladians. So I began to study them and briefly the Seven Sisters, not to the depth I know now. There seems to be this triad. Okay, I'm working with Arcturians, I'm working with Syrians, I'm working with Palladians. I'm doing a lot of, I used to call them cosmic activation circles. I'm gathering people. My friend is the sound healer. I'm guiding meditations. Everything is really flowing. Now, by the time I get to 2022, I feel a little bit bored with the Usui Reiki teachings. I feel like they don't really go anywhere. There's nothing fresh to them. They feel dated to me in some way or form. I was just like not feeling motivated to teach it anymore, even though I understand that a lot of people need that foundation. Okay, so that's just like my general mood. I'm thinking, okay, am I going to go into another cycle of launching so that I can teach these things in the fall? And I'm brushing my teeth and I'm just kind of reflecting on it. And I get the download, Priscilla, it's Cosmic Conscious Reiki. And it's time you combine the knowledge that you know and bring forth the ancient healing ways of Atlantis once again. And I was like, oh, and there's a large part of the story where I really wake up into my full Atlantean being. Time for another day, another time. But it just clicked. And I was like, oh, so Arcturians are the foundation, right, with Usui Reiki in level 1. Level 2 is the Palladian rose healing with Mother Mary. That makes sense to me. Level 3 is Syrian blue orb healing with Isis and Green Tara. And I should say that level 1 is led by Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and Sanat Kumara. Okay. And it really excites me. And so I go into that year, 2022, 2023, of now teaching this Cosmic Conscious Reiki. By the time I get into the spring of 2023, I realize that my market in Edmonton is not going to be significant for me to get out this work. And so for the very first time, I branch out into teaching online. And I'm a little worried. People are used to in-person attunements. I always go through like the hands as laid out by Dr. Hayashi in the Reiki lineage, Usui Reiki lineage. But I figure it out. And I have wonderful students at that time. And it's kind of like I'm testing how I can teach, how I can reach people, what happens. I think the majority of my students at that time were Canadians and Americans. Maybe I had a couple from London. I want to say a couple from England. And it's a wonderful experience for me, a wonderful experience for my students. So I do it again in 2024. And that's my second intake. I do it again last year. And now I'm here this year. So Cosmic Conscious Reiki is this path that developed very naturally, but it's backed up in all these ways because at the heart of everything, besides me being a healer and a teacher, I am a true Atlantean soul, a true Atlantean galactic soul, meaning that wherever Atlantis comes, which is a 5th dimensional frequency, my soul will reincarnate there and teach the people about the technology, the crystals, the healing, the love, the unity, the knowledge, and it goes on and on and on. So there's this beautiful path, if we allow it to unfold, that it will come. So now when I come into 2026, the change is now, okay, I've taught this live 4 times, right? I have tweaked it in all the ways that I want to. The teachings are sound, okay? They are ready to go. And I'm like, I no longer need to teach people live. So it's now self-directed. But what I will always do and continue to do is I have Reiki meetups monthly. Monthly meetups are 1 for the Southern Hemisphere, 1 for the Northern Hemisphere, although anyone can attend any or both. And it's a great time to practice the healings, to ask the questions, to go through the manual. My Cosmic Conscious Reiki community online is a beautiful one. The container is held on in Kajabi. It continually evolves. So whenever I update a manual, all students have full access to it. I love it. I love that part of it. There's bonuses in there. It includes a 1-year membership in the Galactic Temples of Light with over 120 classes on ancient civilizations, including Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt/Chem, Greece. It has, I don't even know how many star nations. I want to say 35 plus different star nations. And it has the Temples of Time. It's a really beautiful package. Now, the thing is, when I was teaching Cosmic Conscious Reiki level 1 online the first time, okay, by the time I finished teaching level 2, they were like, you're teaching a level 4 next year. Oh, and level 4 will be led by the 7 sisters. Oh. And then it evolved into level 5 with the Alpha Centaurians, level 6 with the Orions and Karuna Reiki. And then I just was like, okay, because they're like, Priscilla, it's going to be 12 levels. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot. I don't know how many people want to go through the full thing. But next year in 2027 and through 2028, teaching live, I will teach Dragon Reiki, the Temple of the Atla, okay, which is be level 8. I'll be teaching Angelic Reiki, and I'll also be teaching a whole module on Lemurian healing. So there's a lot to go out. What you should know, because I just gave you a lot of information, is that everything starts at the base of the initiate's path. And the initiate's path is levels 1, 2, and 3. From there, you can go a la carte. If you want to learn from the 7 sisters, you can just take level 4. If you want to just do golden ray healing with the Alpha Centaurians, you can take level 5. If you want to learn Karuna Reiki as guided by the Orions, you can do level 6. You could do Angelic Reiki, go straight to Angelic Reiki, whatever you want. But the base of it is what I am bringing to you right now in this opportunity. So you can join at any time. What will happen is that you'll get immediate access to Galactic Temples of Light, to the teachings within Cosmic Conscious Reiki 1, 2, and 3. And you can take your time. You could do the path as I suggested throughout the year. You could do level 1, 3 months later, level 2, 6 months later, level 3, and then integrate it all. Or you could get it done in 3 months, sit with it for a while, and decide that you're ready for level 4 or level 6 or level 5, whatever way it works for you. But this is my honor to bring it forward, and I wanted to share it with you because it's an important part of my story, and it's an important way for others to get to know their ancient beings within. What does Cosmic Conscious Reiki do? It ignites the ancient soul and the wisdom within you. It helps you explore your multidimensionality so that you're not stuck to just being like, I'm Arcturian, I'm a Palladian, I'm this, I'm that. You're everything in the all. That's what you need to know. There is something about the teachings that come through me that really help people remember who they are. It's one of my strengths as a teacher, and I can't claim it's not me, Priscilla. It's the spirit, it's God creator within that brings it out to you. So what I've noticed with my students, I have a minimum of 50 students that have come through my Reiki certifications. I would say it's probably closer to 75 to 100, but I'll be modest at 50. And what things that they have noticed? More peace in their life, more love, more abundance, more joy, more alignment, more truth, more authenticity. Once you really tap into the knowledge that's stored within your third eye and your soul, once you free your voice from the fear of being discovered for your gifts again, there is this incredible wave, incredible flow that comes through you. And I know it because I've lived it, and I've seen my other students live through it. And a lot of them go on to open up their own businesses. They get really clear on what they want to do, how they want to use their voice, use their platforms. Some of them just use the Cosmic Conscious Reiki experience as a way to empower themselves and in their lives, and they stay in their careers, but they end up spreading so much light to others. If you don't know that about yourself, what the vibration you carry is one that spreads to everyone. It's really important that you acknowledge that beauty of your being, and just doing something good for yourself and good for humanity will ripple out to everyone else. The other big the shifts that I've noticed is people believing in themselves and trusting their intuition. The journeys that we go on, the way that I teach is really through journeys. Every every module of Cosmic Conscious Reiki has a beautifully extensive, wonderful manual to give you the chunk of the knowledge. But what's really going to shift you is the guided meditations and the attunements that you come through. That's the meat, that's the juice, that's what nobody else can sell or offer you than me, because that's what flows through me, through my soul, as directed by Creator. That's what makes Cosmic Conscious Reiki not just a modality, not just another notch on your Reiki belt, but something truly transformative, life-changing, and full of the most beautiful light codes, bliss codes, love codes, prosperity codes, truth codes, if you give yourself the time and devote to it. So you can check me out at thetemplesofatlantis.ca. You can go into the Cosmic Conscious Reiki training. You're going to see the overview of the levels 1 through 12. You're going to click on Start the Path here, and then it's going to open up the Initiate's Journey for you. It's level 1, 2, and 3 that are available now, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that's where you start. Level 4 is also available. If you start there, and I get it, who doesn't want to work with the Seven Sisters? You will love it, but you will have missed some of the foundation of what you're going to pick up in 1, 2, and 3. So I can't police it. I can't stop you, but I can say there's a benefit to going through 1, 2, and 3 first, and then from there, go anywhere you want. That's the beautiful part. So I hope you enjoyed this. You're gonna, like I said, you're going to see me come on here more on YouTube, more to share with you, you know, the wisdom that I've regained from my awakening. We're going to go through Atlantean stories. We're going to go through Atlantean interviews with some of my favorite people from all over the world that really have that frequency. We're going to talk to a lot of Lemurians, a lot of Palladians. We're going to go everywhere. It's going to be wonderful. Hallelujah. I started it. That's all we have to do. Take the first step, right? Take the first step. That's how it all begins. I'm so grateful. Ora Matima Ra. Golden Atlantean blessings always. If you don't follow me on Instagram, find me at the Temples of Atlantis or the Atlantean Priestess. Please like, follow, subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm here to guide, to serve in love, to do everything I can to bring in new Atlantis and new Lemuria. I love you. Blessings.